This video covers everything we did in class on Tuesday, September 28th. You have 2 steps to follow to make up today's classwork. The first is to follow along with this video. As you're following along with this video, you'll want to have the ClassKick link open. It's the other link in this folder. Your second step is to complete the assignments that we did in the second portion of class. There are 2 of those. The 1.7 exit ticket retake, this is your first graded exit ticket this year, and the independent practice on Khan Academy, which is scale copies. Both of those assignments should be completed by tomorrow, and if you're confused about that list, there is a list posted at the top of this video. The first question on ClassKick, Scale Copies Review Practice, says Figure B is a scale copy of the original. Label every side of Figure B. Now, you won't have been able to do this question if you weren't watching the video because there are some labels missing. So, the original should be labeled like this: 2, 3, 2.2, and 2.5. That's all I gave students in class. But you might also notice that the height of B here is 4 units because we can count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, because we know the relationship between one set of corresponding sides, 2 to 4, we can figure out the relationship between the other sides. Let's write it out. 2 times some number gives us 4. So of course, 2 times 4 is 2. And remember that Figure B is a scale copy, which means that every side changes by that scale factor of 2, or every side is doubled. So we know that the side that corresponds with 3 will be double 3. And of course, double 3 is 6. We know that the side that corresponds with 2.5 will be double 2.5. So this side here and this side here, we're doubling 2.5. And our side that corresponds with 2.2 will be double 2.2. Now remember, when I say doubling, all I mean is multiply by 2. So go ahead and pause this video and on your own figure out the length of this purple side and this blue side. So this is also something you could have used a calculator for, but 2.5 times 2 is 5, and 2.2 times 2 is 2.4. So we've done A, we've labeled every side of Figure B, and question B is, what's the scale factor? Well, remember, the scale factor is the number that we multiply all side lengths by to create a scaled copy, and we already figured out that the scale factor was 2. Question 2, fill in the blanks. We've got 3 multiplication problems here. 4 times something is 10, 8 times something is 4, and 5 times something is 8.5. Let's do one together, and then I'll send you to do the others on your own. To solve these problems, we want to recall our properties of inverse operations. We know that the product is 10, and one of our factors is 4. Remember that factor is just a number that we're multiplying, and product is the answer. We can always divide the product divided by the factor that we know, and in this case the factor that we know is 4, to tell us our unknown factor. So if we divide 10 by 4, we get a final answer of 2.5. Now we can always check to make sure that 2.5 is the correct answer by multiplying 4 times 2.5 to make sure that it actually equals 10, which it does, so we know we've got the correct answer for A. Now, I want you to follow these same steps of inverse operations to solve B and C. Remember, 4 is a product, and 8.5 is a product, 5 is a factor, and 8 is a factor. All you need to do is divide the factor by the product, the product by the factor, like it's written out here, and that will tell you the missing factor, because we're using inverse operations. In other words, we know that 4 groups of 2.5 is 10 total, so when we divide 10 by 4, we end up with 2.5. Pause this video and answer question 2. Okay, so if you're still watching the video, you should have done question 2. If you haven't, pause and unpause when you're ready. The final question is question 3. And question 3 is really similar to question 2, but we're going to have to use some of the inverse operations that we used in question 1. So notice, we know that 2 times something gives us a product of 3. Whatever we're multiplying the side lengths by to get the corresponding side, so from 2 to 3, will be our scale factor. But of course, 2 times a whole number isn't 3, so we might need a little bit of extra help. Remember that I can take my product, in this case my product is 3, divided by my factor, which in this case is 2, and that will tell me my missing factor, or this number here. 3 divided by 2 can be written in a lot of ways. It can be written as 1.5, as 3 over 2, or as 1.5. I'm going to use a decimal here. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, and then I'm going to check my work. Does 2 times 1.5 equal 3? It does. And if you're struggling with those decimals, you can always use a calculator to support your work. But we know that the scale factor is 1.5. And the reason is because 2 times 1.5 equals 3, and 2 and 3 are corresponding sides. So now that we know the scale factor is 1.5, we can use that scale factor to calculate the other corresponding sides. I would like you to find the length of the yellow corresponding side on your own, because you're just moving from 1.5 times 1.5 to a mystery side length, and you should do 2.5 on your own as well, because again, you're just moving from 2.5, using the scale factor to multiply, and finding the missing side length. So go ahead and pause this video, tell me what the yellow side is and what the green side is, and make sure to show your work below. Show your work below. Okay, so your work might have looked something like this. You know that the yellow side length is 1.5, and you're multiplying times a scale factor of 1.5, so your new side length will be 2.25, and this right here is the yellow side. Your green side length on the original copy is 2.5. You're multiplying times 1.5, which gives you a new side length of 3.75. And again, that's the green corresponding sides. Now, this final side length is a little bit trickier. We'll label it in orange, because we're multiplying some mystery number times our scale factor, 1.5, to get the original side length. So, in other words, some mystery number here times 1.5 equals 4. A mystery number times 1.5 equals 4. Now remember, we can use what we know about inverse operations, the product divided by the factor that we know tells us the other factor. So 4 divided by 1.5. And if I divide 4 by 1.5, I can determine what that missing side length is, because all I did was take the product that I knew and divide it by the factor I knew to tell me the missing product, which in this case is equal to 2.6. And you can always check your work by typing into a calculator 2.6 times 1.5 and making sure that it equals 4. So my missing side length is 2.6, and the reason why is because 2.6 times 1.5 equals 4. Feel free to pause this video to fill in any work. You can also rewind it to hear my explanations again. Your Khan Academy assignment is going to be very similar to this problem. The most important thing to remember is that once you know a scale factor, like 1.5, you can use inverse operations, like this example right here, to figure out what you're multiplying by to produce your unknown side length. After you've watched this video, you have 2 more steps for today. I'm going to write them out here. Step 1 is to complete the 1.7 exit ticket retake. And step 2 is to complete scale copies. That's what the assignment is called. It's called scale copies in Khan Academy. As always, if you have any questions, please send Ms. Knez an email.